Our next talk is Emerging Trend in Cyber Resilience 2024. Our speaker is a chief mentor at Arcon. Anil Bhandari is an innovator and has innovated several cybersecurity products and mentors Arcon, which is a leading cybersecurity company in India, which is a leader Gartner Magic Quadrant and has clients over 75 plus countries. Anil is now an investor in high growth technologies and loves to read Internet of Things and operational technologies in his spare time. His next goal is to work in protecting space assets. Please put your hand together for Mr. Anil Bhandari.
Chair. Well, a very good afternoon, maybe a morning. Riyadh and Meena Isaac, thank you for inviting us again. It's been a wonderful day, and I see there are a lot of us here who are very keen to understand cybersecurity. This region has been investing an amazing amount of money in terms of digital transformation. And with digital transformation comes a lot of responsibilities. What I'm going to talk to you about today is something very simple. There are no technology jargons in this presentation. I've just got 3 messages in this presentation. And I would just want to set the context right even before we go to these 3 messages. And what is the context? Past is no longer relevant. You know, just maybe 8 or 9 years back, we had to put technology as compulsive use of technology. People innovated, computer systems came up, they said you have to use technology. It was compulsive use of technology. And if you just were to observe 3 or 4 years back, it's becoming an obsessive use of technology. You get up in the morning and the first thing that you want to do is to catch hold of your phone and figure out if you have a WhatsApp message or emails. And amazing. I mean, look at the transformation. Making sure that you use it to an obsessive use. But ladies and gentlemen, what is likely to come is an immersive use of technology, and that is going to be completely transformational. I was in the RSA conference some time back, and I was in Austin 15 days back, and I happened to go to visit to the Apple store to just look at the Apple Vision Pro. Anybody here who's tried the Apple Vision Pro? It is transformational. I mean, you are literally into the technology, and if that is what is likely to come, in terms of what we do, when we do, how we do, this is going to be a very, very different decade which we are likely to see. I call this as evolution of digital businesses. This decade in the next 10 years is likely to be evolution of digital business. We've even seen digital businesses so far. Before we go there, we still have to tackle the past problem, which is all of this. I don't know. As technologists at IT operations, as security, have we even able to come or overcome an operational issues around all of these technologies? And forget about the technology, all of these versions that you have, and they come in literally thousands and thousands. And on a daily basis, you have all of them put together. This was not enough on the infrastructure. You now have a cloud infrastructure to take care of. And if that was not enough, you have thousands and thousands of applications and thousands of versions of applications to come and overcome all of that. I think IT technology risk professionals are having a very tough time just to even triage what is going wrong, when it is going wrong, and how it is going wrong. They have invested millions and millions of dollars on technology and security products, but unfortunately, the value that you need to get from those are not in sight very soon, as I would probably put it. This is from a World Economic Forum report. What it talks about is in the next maybe 10 years, almost every industry that you have is going to go through a digital revolution, and people are going to invest a lot of money into that. Aviation, travel, tourism, telecommunication, professional services, mining and metals, oil and gas, media, healthcare. The ones that you see in the blue, the dark blue, is technology helping you to do growth of business. The one that you see in light blue is creating efficiency for you, and the one that you see in the grays are actually digital experience. But what it tells you is every part of the industry or every part of the process is going through an amazing change in the next 5 years. Just look at one example. Automotive. Have you ever heard of usage-based insurance? Have you ever heard of usage-based insurance? It's so interesting that today when you buy all your cars, you need to pay up for insurance upfront, right? But people want to make the process better, people want to make it cheaper. So tomorrow, in the future, it's only when you drive the car, you're likely to be charged insurance, that too on your WhatsApp. So for example, I come from a city, Mumbai. I travel most of the time between New York, Mumbai. Both of these cities, interestingly, your cars can only have dents. They cannot have anything else, which means tomorrow, it's possible that if you go to a particular PIN code, maybe the insurance that you're likely to get charged is going to be maybe $20 more. And if you go to some PIN codes where there are no accidents, maybe your insurance is going to be less. What does it mean for the insurance companies? What does it really mean for the insurance company? Anything and everything that you have as a process or technology within an insurance company is likely to undergo a change. Right from customer onboarding, right from underwriting, the middle office, all the way to the back office for settlement of claims. Have you even thought about what is likely to change on your accounting systems? Have you ever thought about what is likely to change on your accounting reporting systems? Everything is likely to change. Why is that so? You were collecting insurance upfront. You were accounting for it the way that you used to account for it. Now you're invoicing insurance on a daily basis, just as you're invoicing your prepaid cards, right? Fundamentally, the digital businesses are going to be super integrated and likely to be very, very different. Today, what you see, because of all of that, the challenges around APIs, especially when you look at security or any security controls, automation, cloud, what you're likely to see in the next 1 or 2 years would be AI/ML, bots, and edge computing. What I'm trying to establish here is, while past is no longer relevant, we still have to deal with a lot of technology issues of the past, and the future seems to be only getting complex day by day. And it is likely to be even more complex if you see that the likely ones are coming to edge computing, and those devices would literally run in billions. I'm sure if you look at the India stack, if you look at the India stack of technologies like the UPI and ONDC, you would realize that there are thousands and thousands of APIs that the government has invested in, which is available to citizens at large, which is transforming the entire country with billion people. Now, why is this important from a cybersecurity trend? And just to try and give you a context now, what is likely to happen in cybersecurity? This global trend 2022 is from Gartner. It says that fundamentally in 2022, there were big game ransomware attacks, increasing attacks on identity systems, attack on digital supply systems. What you needed to do was reform the security practice and also maybe rethink the technology. The two themes which evolved in 2022 was identity threat detection and response and digital supply chain integrity. Those were the two themes which evolved, and they continue to evolve as we look forward. What happened in 2023 from 2022? Again, the themes evolved where identity fabric immunity, which is identity-centric security, cybersecurity platform consolidation. Now you have millions and millions of tools there. You know, some of the technology tools are very good when they're point-in-time technology or security tools. What I mean is that there is a lot of tech involved, deep tech involved, and it helps you to solve a particular problem, maybe say on a network. Over a period of time, all tools go through an evolution, and there is a plateau in technology. You don't need a SpaceX technology now. Say, for example, in an identity solution, what you need is value from those solutions, right? So there is convergence likely to happen in and around security tools where you need to have value, which is more important because otherwise everything falls through cracks. And the last, which is very important, is people process technology. I think, all of us struggle with technology, but fundamentally the first two, the people and the process, happens to be the most important elements even today. What's continuing to happen? Rise of people obtaining valid credentials, injecting fraudulent transactions, chat GPT is being used to carry out attacks today, and AI ML understands you better, so it can do mining better, and it can do all of those attacks that we think about better. Cybersecurity is a top business risk to manage, not a technology risk anymore. And the last one that I would like to read out for you is cybersecurity has become human-centric and not machine-centric any longer. So I was intending to set the context for past, present, and what we are likely to see in the business. Now what do we have? CIOs and CISOs, beware. The fundamentals of risk management is going through a change. I repeat, the fundamentals of risk management is going through a change. Do you think governance is a risk? Do you think governance, which is supposed to mitigate risk, is actually becoming a risk actor by itself? Why? Because if you're not perceived to have good governance systems, you lose billions of dollars today in the market. Billions and billions of dollars. We had a company called Adani. They lost $150 billion in just 15 days because they were perceived not to have a good governance. Nothing wrong with the company. Unfortunately, the perception in governance is becoming a larger risk for you. Strategy and planning, people wanted to inject technology, but today technology is available in SaaS. So how do I put it for you? If you wanted to start a bank in the past, you would require billions of dollars to start a bank. Why? Because you need to acquire technologies. Today, if a kid wanted to start a bank, he could start it. Why? Because most of those technologies are available in the cloud, and most of them can be paid as you go, right? Which means the technology investment is super low, and people are able to innovate and move forward. The other one is interesting. Regulator is more tech savvy today. I don't know, I'm sure here with Sama and all of that you have, I travel almost 25 days in a month. I think regulators all across the world are amazingly tech savvy, right? They do more than a lot of organizations. Regulator is becoming a risk for us, for organizations, because they literally are trying to micromanage you and not macromanage you. Well, there's nothing like right or wrong. There are phases in this journey where somebody has to micromanage. So maybe right. But what I'm trying to tell you is that as IT security professionals, you have to carry that burden to be able to satisfy the regulator who's already on top of it. So finally, coming to what we are likely to see in 2024. What we are likely to see in 2024 is interesting. We spoke about the device-centric security. So if you look at the green layer below, it is fundamentally the device-centric security. If you look at the red layer, it was to do with application elevation, delegation, control, installation, all of that. And if you look at the top layer, it is to do with MFA, authentication, coming in through a directory, and so on and so forth. Two things that we have fundamentally missed in so many years is around the user telemetry that you have on every device or every equipment that you have, and more important, the data, which is going to be eventually contextual data security for all of us. So it's going to be identity-centric and contextual data-centric security going forward. Why? Because data is generated always in the context in which you're going to use that. So I just wanted to wrap this up by just giving you 3 approaches. And I'm sure you will resonate with me in terms of these approaches. The first one is, if you were to reimagine cybersecurity for the next 10 years, you surely need to have a vision for identity-centric security. I do know that most of us have invested millions of dollars trying to acquire so many tools from MFA, SSO, IAM, PAM, IGA, all of that, and we continue to struggle with most of them. But unfortunately, the world has shifted and the goals are shifting because you need to be able to look at conversions. Why? Because if you do not marry all the digital identities to a human identity, you would never be able to build identity threat detection and response. The second was in cyber resilience. I think that you need an electrocardiogram approach in cyber resilience. I'm going to talk to you about that. And when it comes to GRC, it is no longer those workflow solutions that will help you. It has to be automated. It has to be now. The risk has to be mitigated today. So what do we do about what do we do about the platform approach? What you need today is not to have different solutions because they all fall into the crack. Can I just ask you one question? Do we, even after having invested millions of dollars, or can we even answer the question instantly, who has access to what? Do we have that answer quickly? Never. Never, to the best of my understanding. You come from the US, you go all the way to Japan, there is nobody able to answer the question, who has access to what, like now? No one, right? Would you want to answer that question and ensure that you have the identity-centric fabric that you're looking forward to? The three things which become very important is human identities, digital assets, and digital identities. There are only three things to look at, nothing else to be looked at. And what's a digital asset? A bot is also a digital asset. Have we ever thought about managing the life cycle for a bot? An API, which is a piece of code, is also a digital asset. A Lambda function in AWS is also a digital asset. Have we ever thought about even understanding, do we have the ability to ingest all of these digital assets and do something around it? And what Gartner says is 75% of all the new projects in 2025 will be converged identity solutions. This is what will help you to achieve identity threat detection response. This is maybe a year or two far, but I don't think you can create one with so many solutions and cracks sitting in the foreground. The second one that we talk about is the cyber resilience. What has been fundamentally cyber resilience? Our ability to come back. First is our ability not to fall. And then second is our ability to come back very quickly if you have an attack or whatsoever. And most of the time you would hear people talk about backups and disaster recovery centers for cyber resilience. That's hardly cyber resilience. That's hardly cyber resilience. Regulators across the world have started to fine the first financial institutions and utilities if they go down for even 20 minutes. So I'm not sure about here, but I have gone through my clients and banks. They have been, the license have been taken away and they cannot acquire new customers if they go through this problem. They just cannot go down. Which means in a digital world, if the technology and the applications go down, your loss happens to be more than a cyber attack that you may have. Right? Just imagine Uber going down for two hours. They would have lost more money than they would have lost maybe with a cyber attack, for example. Which means, how do you evolve and innovate this? The only ability to evolve and innovate is, unfortunately, you have to watch the system on a millisecond basis. You have to watch every element of the system on a millisecond basis. And how do you do that? You have to create a baseline and have to create and figure out if there is any change in the baseline, which is like a heart, right? An electrocardiogram system understands that if there's a slightest change in the way that your heart is beating, either you're likely to fall down or something is going to go wrong. Well, maybe the world has still not arrived there, but I think in the next 5 years, you will see amazing amount of investments being made by technology companies and by organizations to try and achieve something like this, because there is no other way to achieve this. And what I could probably think of and kind of look at is you need to track every element of technology which goes into your core applications. So if you're from a bank, the core banking application, you need to onboard every piece of technology stack, and you should be able to start writing a drift management policy around it. And drift management policy is written all the way from a load balancer to a web server, to a database server, to interfaces, to the hardware, to the firewalls, to the routers, and all the way to the firmware. You would need to have to do this and create a baseline around it to ensure that if there is even a slightest of change, you're aware about it, and that is the only time that your systems will not fall down, and that is the only time that your DRs will also come up if they have to come up. One of our clients, a large stock exchange abroad, they were audited by SEC and fined $50 million. You know why? Because they went in and they asked, what is your RPO and RTO? They said, 15 minutes. When they looked at the folders, the applications didn't match, configurations didn't match, and they come and find $20 million, $50 million to this bank, right? Simple, but it doesn't work if it had to work. And finally, the last two slides, if you were to look at governance, risk and compliance, IT operations, it is no longer possible for you, humanly possible for you, to be able to triage all of the system, which means you need the ability to have robotics, you need the ability to inject it, and you need the ability to know exactly what can go wrong around all of your IT operations and security. And it needs to serve all the three lines of defense. There is nothing like the first, second, and third any longer. It has to serve all the three lines of defense. And the last one, short of time, I think reimagine cyber risk management. The CISO's role must fundamentally change. CISOs are now risk decision facilitators. 60% of the organizations will shift from external hiring to quiet hiring because you need to understand internally within the organization. And board members will be at least one with cybersecurity experience. But I think the last one is something really interesting. It's no longer cybersecurity. I think resilience is more important. It's no longer detection, anticipation, and prediction is important. And paranoia is the only way that you would survive. This is zero trust. Paranoia is something which is zero trust. There is no other zero trust. And finally, prediction, detection is fine, but response, which is likely is to be the key. And the regulators have a better detection and dark web monitoring. So I think they are watching, and we need to come up the curve. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure here, and thank you patiently listening to me. Thank you.